Hey guys, welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, for being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room, hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this politics and BS.
A New York judge on Friday ordered Donald Trump to pay $354.9 million in penalties for duping and defrauding lenders for more than a decade. Capping off the massive civil fines, Justice Arthur also banned Trump from serving as an officer or director of any New York corporation for 3 years. The massive penalty is the result of a civil lawsuit against Trump brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James, who accused the former president and his family business of falsely inflating his net worth by billions of dollars in order to fool bankers into lending him money at lower rates.
This is a witch hunt, the likes of which probably nobody has ever seen.
Trump has denied wrongdoing and called the case a political vendetta by James, an elected Democrat. Trump is expected to appeal Friday's ruling by Engoron. The civil fraud case could deal a major blow to Trump's real estate empire as the businessman turned politician leads the race for the Republican nomination to challenge Democratic President Joe Biden in the November 5th U.S. election. Friday's ruling came after a contentious 3-month trial in a Manhattan courtroom. During defiant and meandering testimony in November, Trump conceded that some of his property values were inaccurate, but insisted banks were obligated to do their own due diligence. He frequently used his occasional court appearances as impromptu campaign stops, delivering incendiary remarks to reporters and insisting his enemies are using the courts to prevent him from retaking the White House. Trump is cruising to the Republican nomination despite a host of other legal troubles. He is under indictment in 4 criminal cases, including 2 cases about efforts to subvert his 2020 election defeat and 1 in New York related to hush money payments he made to a porn star. The judge overseeing that case on Thursday set a March 25th trial date. Trump has pleaded not guilty in all 4 cases.
All right, guys, so you heard that brief synopsis, but yeah. On Friday afternoon, $354.9 million penalty, 3-year ban in New York for working and doing business. And listen, the money just keeps adding up. And he said he's going to appeal this. I don't know, because he also said the same thing about the defamation judgments that he has received in the E. Jean Carroll case. And from what I've read and from what I've been listening to, in order for him to appeal, he's going to have to put up the full sum of these judgments. So he can't just appeal and buy time and not pay the money. He actually has to put the money up in a bond, and hey, if the appeal winds up in his favor, then he get the money back. But he can't just file an appeal and the people are their ass out, if you will. So I don't know if he's going to be able to do this. In the judge's sharply worded decision issued, he banned Trump from serving as an officer or director of any New York corporation for 3 years. Engoron canceled his prior ruling from September ordering the dissolution of companies that control pillars of Trump's real estate empire, saying on Friday that this was no longer necessary because he is appointing an independent monitor and compliance director to oversee Trump's businesses. So the judge is going to be bringing someone on that's going to be independent. It's not someone that he or his family can hire, because as some of you may know and some of you may not know, someone who previously worked for him was charged criminally and has been barred forever from working in New York in the capacity that he was working in before, and ordered to pay $1 million. The story is Trump and the other defendants in the case, Engoron wrote in the ruling, quote, are incapable of admitting the error of their ways. Their complete lack of contrition and remorse borders on pathological, Engoron wrote. Instead, they adopt a see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil posture that the evidence belies. The lawsuit brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James accused Trump and his family businesses of overstating his net worth by as much as $3.6 billion a year over a decade to fool bankers into giving him better loan terms. Trump, who faces criminal charges in 4 other cases, has called the lawsuit a political vendetta by James, a Democrat. You know what's so funny when I always hear this stuff, and this is why I always preface when I'm talking about politics and BS, that not that it matters because I don't care what anybody thinks about what I say, but I preface it by saying I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I'm not even an independent. I'm just sharing my thoughts and views and opinions on what I see going on because I live in this country. I am a citizen, but I choose not to be involved in these politics. But whether you choose to be involved or not, you are affected, which unfortunately means a lot of us get infected by the things that are going on. And so, yeah, I may vote, but it's not like I'm putting my trust and hopes and beliefs in these people because they're people just like I am. And the majority of these people that run for these offices, they're doing it for their own selfish gains and reasons. And I don't know why people can't understand that. They're called people who are supposed to be serving the public, but they're serving their pockets. Okay? That's why people have to have so much money in order to even run. It's just ridiculous. But I said that just now to say I laugh when I see and read these statements or hear them by Trump when he's talking about someone calling them a Democrat or a rhino, a Republican in name only and whatever, because the fact of the matter is he was a Democrat. And a lot of people don't acknowledge that, but he was a Democrat. He gave a lot of money to the Clintons. He was friends with the Clintons. So honestly, him running for president all along was one of the greatest marketing schemes, in my personal opinion, to really bolster his business and his public profile. It wasn't about him becoming the actual president, but when he surprisingly, because he was surprised, he didn't believe he was going to win. He actually is one of those people that plays to win, but did not expect to become the president of the United States. This was all about marketing. So once he won, the power. These people get in these positions of power and they don't ever want to lose it. That's why you have these senators and these representatives in the House that wind up being in office until they die because they get so used to the power and the prestige and the lifestyle that they can't see themselves going back to what they were doing before, which some of them don't even remember what they did before they got in office, like a Lindsey Graham, just naming one of those people. And shoot, who else? There's a lot of them on both sides of the aisle. And so I laugh when I hear stuff like that with him saying he called the lawsuit a political vendetta by James, quote, a Democrat. Anyway, in his post on social media platform, Trump called Engoron crooked, James corrupt, and the case against him election interference and a witch hunt. This decision is a complete and total sham, Trump wrote. We cannot let injustice stand. Injustice against who? This is your personal stuff. This has nothing to do with the country. This has nothing to do with the citizens of the United States, because the fact of the matter is they let his ass get by all of these years doing these things that regular, ordinary people would not be able to do. And if you or I inflated the values of our properties to try to get loans for the bank, first of all, it wouldn't work. They would do their due diligence. Like Trump said, it was up to the banks to do their due diligence if they thought that the properties were not worth what he stated that they were worth. Yeah, you or I, the banks don't just take our word for it. We have to pay for. I don't know if you all have ever bought a house and tried to maybe take a cash out for a cash out refinance for a HELOC or something like that, which is a home equity line of credit. they're not going to just go by your word for you to say what the property's value is worth. No, you have to pay for you have to pay for an appraisal. You're paying for it. The bank isn't paying for it. You have to pay for an appraisal, and you pay for the appraisal with the company that they choose. And more often than not, they undervalue your property. If you've ever dealt with that before. So if you just came in and said your property was worth $500,000, they're going to say, okay, thanks for that information. We're going to go ahead and hire an appraisal. This is the company that we're choosing. We need you to go ahead and pay that fee, whatever the fee is, $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, depends on where you're at, depends on what the company is charging. And then they're going to send the report to the bank, and the bank will share that copy with you. They're not just going to take your word for it. So he had a lot of privilege by being able to just say, my properties are worth this much. And they just gave him loans based on what he said. You or I, regular everyday people, that doesn't happen for us. And sometimes you have to be careful, because if somebody's on Mad Day and they say that you intentionally lied on that paperwork, they could charge you criminally. I don't know if you all know that. So there's a lot of privilege there. So I don't really care about him saying we cannot let injustice stand, because the fact of the matter is you got by for a long time getting your way with the banks. And I feel like the banks, they should get some pushback as well. Don't just charge Donald Trump. But a lot of times they don't hold the banks accountable for the crookedness that they do. When they go under, the government bails them out. But that's another story. So the story continues. Engoron, who decided the case without a jury, also barred Trump and his companies named in the suit from applying for loans from any financial institution chartered in New York for 3 years, which could curtail his ability to obtain credit from major U.S. banks. The judge said Trump and his company's past run-ins with the law were part of the reason for the stiff penalties. The Trump Organization was found guilty of criminal tax fraud in 2022. 2 other entities Trump ran previously settled allegations of wrongdoing brought by New York State. Trump's adult sons, Don Jr. and Eric, also were defendants in the case. The judge ordered them to pay $4 million apiece. Their lawyer, Clifford Robert, called the decision a gross injustice and said he believes it will be overturned on appeal. Former Trump org CFO Alan Weisselberg, this is what I was talking about previously, who pleaded guilty to tax fraud in a separate criminal case, was ordered to pay $1 million and barred for life from managing any New York company's finances. James said the penalties paid by, or will be paid, shall we say, by all defendants totaled more than $450 million, including interest. Quote, Donald Trump is finally facing accountability for his lying, cheating, and staggering fraud, James said in a statement, because no matter how big, rich, or powerful you think you are, no one is above the law. Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see how far this goes, because, like I said, the fact that he's claiming that he's going to be filing an appeal on this, they're saying that he's going to have to put up a bond. And in order for him to do that, he may have to liquidate some of his properties. So this is a lot. But honestly, this is his personal stuff. This has nothing to do with the country. But if he becomes president again, I don't believe there's anything that he can do about this, because this is a state case. And who knows? And they're saying that he cannot use donations and political funds in order to pay these fines. But listen, where there's a will, there's a way. And when you have somebody like him and the others that are working for him and with him, they'll figure out a way to make it work. Okay? So anyway, guys, you can let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I just wanted to keep it brief, beautiful. And now I'm going to say bye.